The immortal Hulk Hogan has died at the age of 71, not long after rumors spread that he was not faring well after neck surgery. Nonetheless, the news of his passing came as a shock throughout the wrestling world. Hogan, whose real name was Terry Bollea, died from a cardiac arrest on July 24, 2025. EMTs were rushed to his home in Clearwater, Florida, but were unable to revive him. Rumors had been swirling around Hogan's health since he underwent neck fusion surgery in late spring. Hogan's former friend, radio host Bubba the Love Sponge, whose real name is Todd Clem, said on June 18th,
"I've heard people say that he might not make it."
Oh.
Clem claimed that Hogan was in a coma and on his deathbed, adding that family members were being called in to say their goodbyes. The radio host's comments picked up so much traction that a spokesman for Hogan had to issue a denial that same day, saying there were no reasons to panic. The denials continued over the following weeks. Hogan's wife, Sky Daly, posted on Instagram on July 11th to state that despite her husband being in and out of the hospital during his surgery recovery, he was, quote, definitely not in a coma. She said his surgery had a long healing process and wrote on her Instagram stories, "His heart is strong and there was never any lack of oxygen or brain damage. None of those rumors are true." Speculation about Hogan's health slowed down for about a week after Daly's Instagram posts, but by July 18th, Clem was once again bringing it up. He cited sources claiming that Hogan's surgery caused permanent damage, including to his vocal cords and esophagus. Though Clem was no longer claiming that Hogan was in a coma, he said,
"There's just so many reports coming back that he may never, ever be the Hulk Hogan that we knew."
3 days later, Clem was claiming that Hogan had been taken home from the hospital under extremely high security measures, though he did say that it was a good sign Hulkster was stable enough to be at home. The next day, July 22nd, Hogan's longtime manager and friend Jimmy Hart once again denied any inkling that the Immortal One was not faring well. He wrote in a now-deleted post on X that Hogan was doing phenomenal and that he'd been singing karaoke with Hogan's son Nick the night before. Just hours after news of Hogan's death broke on July 24th, Clem spoke to TMZ, stating that he regretted never apologizing to his once good friend. He said, "I'm saddened that I will never be able to tell him how sorry I am for the way I handled things that created the rift between us." A sex tape involving Clem's then-wife Heather and Hogan was leaked in 2012, leading to more than one scandal for Hogan and multiple lawsuits. By all indications, the legal wranglings ended their friendship. One of the first pro wrestlers to publicly react to Hogan's death was his friend and longtime rival Ric Flair, who said on X that he was absolutely shocked to hear the news. Flair said Hogan had been there with him since they started in the industry, complimenting his athleticism and the value of his friendship. Flair wrote, "He was always there for me even when I didn't ask for him to be. He was one of the first to visit me when I was in the hospital with a 2% chance of living, and he prayed by my bedside. Hulkster, no one will ever compare to you. Rest in peace, my friend." Flair's daughter, Charlotte Flair, also shared her condolences for Hogan's family. Charlotte confirmed that Hogan was there during her dad's health scare in 2017, and she stated that her heart breaks for Hogan's children, Nick and Brooke. Paul Triple H Levesque, WWE's chief content officer, also shared a statement on X, commending Hogan for his impact on wrestling. The Undertaker, who had his problems with Hogan over the years, posted a respectful message, writing, "The wrestling world has lost a true legend. His contributions to our business are immeasurable, and for that I am appreciative. Thank you, Hulk Hogan." The icon Sting, who was the avenging hero trying to take down Hogan's NWO at the height of WCW's popularity, wrote that Hogan was the greatest of all. Sting thanked Hogan for everything he did, called him a friend, and said he would miss him. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson posted a video on Instagram of a TV playing his match against Hogan at WrestleMania 18. He wrote about how that match fulfilled a dream for him and inspired a crowd reaction unlike he'd ever experienced. Johnson thanked Hogan for the house, meaning that the sold-out crowds Hogan drew to shows paved the way for him and other stars to shine. Johnson also recalled meeting the Hulkster as a child, writing, "To millions of little kids, you were a childhood hero, myself included." Retired WWE star Kane, aka Glenn Jacobs, the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, posted a clip of him doing the classic "What you gonna do" Hogan catchphrase for Hogan and The Rock in a backstage segment. Jacobs admitted to practicing the impersonation of the Hulkster growing up, adding, "Hulk Hogan was a true legend. I was fortunate to work with him a couple of times, including this memorable one." The Miz also emphasized the effect that Hogan's words had on him as a child, stating that he ate his vitamins and said his prayers because of the late WWE star. He wrote, "The voice, flexing, charisma, he made you want to be bold, loud, confident. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan." Matt Hardy wrote that he enjoyed his experiences working with Hogan and called him the first mainstream star of pro wrestling. Others, including Kurt Angle and Matt Cardona, cited Hogan as a foundational figure in their decisions to become pro wrestlers. Former AEW TNT champion Wardlow likewise shared a pic of his younger self in an oversized Hulk Hogan t-shirt. John Cena also seemed to nod to Hogan's influence, posting an image of Hogan facing off against Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 in one of wrestling's most iconic moments.
He knew that that's what had to be done to get me to where I needed to be.
One of Hogan's closest friends in wrestling, Ed Leslie, who wrestled as Brutus the Barber Beefcake and The Disciple, among many other names, shared several photos of himself and Hogan together. He and Hogan had become estranged over the years. He wrote, "Through the good times and the bad, I always loved my brother Terry. I am devastated by the loss of my friend. I only wish we had time to mend our broken friendship before his passing. Until I see you, brother, in the big squared circle in the sky, I love you." Raw general manager Adam Pearce also shared a lengthy thread discussing some of his feelings about the Hulkster. He first recalled seeing Hogan in the AWA before the heights of Hulkamania and becoming an instant fan. Pearce then recalled meeting Hogan during a tryout in TNA, with Hogan sitting down next to the young prospect to talk while they watched the rest of the show. He wrote, "Thank you for all of the good. Thank you for your candor in a moment where I doubted myself. All love to his family, friends, and those lives he touched along the way. Rest well, sir." Some of Hogan's other TNA colleagues also reacted to the news, including AEW's Christopher Daniels, who shared a screenshot of himself and Frankie Kazarian staring down Hogan and Sting. Not everyone had a story of personal connection, though. AEW commentator Tony Schiavone, who led the WCW commentary booth during the height of Hogan's run there, said Hogan was a coworker but not a friend. He did acknowledge that while people might have their own opinions of Hogan as a person, it was impossible to deny that he had a massive impact on the industry. Hulk Hogan and former WWE chairman Vince McMahon arguably made each other. Hogan couldn't have reached the heights of Hulkamania without McMahon's then WWF, and it's tough to imagine the WWF becoming as popular as it did in the mid-1980s without Hogan's presence and charisma. McMahon hasn't said much publicly of late. He was ousted from the WWE in early 2024 following a lawsuit from a former employee alleging sex trafficking and other offenses. But he broke his silence to mourn Hogan's death, calling the Hulkster a treasure and a trailblazer who went from being a pro wrestler to a global phenomenon. McMahon closed his statement with a variation of one of Hogan's trademark catchphrases.
You train, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and believe in yourself.
Vince's wife, Linda McMahon, who is the Secretary of Education in the Trump administration, also played a big role in Hogan's career. She oversaw the business side of the WWF throughout Hulk's run on top. Secretary McMahon also took to social media to mourn the loss of her friend of 40 years, writing, "His legacy in and out of the ring will always be remembered. He was one of a kind." Though some AEW stars posted tributes to Hogan, the young company doesn't have much history with him. That is, aside from AEW president Tony Khan notably banning both Hogan and his ex-wife Linda from all of the company's events in 2020. Khan has explained that he believed Hogan hadn't adequately apologized for racist remarks that came out in 2015 in previously unrevealed audio from his sex tape. That may have played some part in former AEW World Champion MJF's public response to Hogan's passing, which was peppered with his trademark heel cynicism. He started by promoting his new movie and pushing his multiple ongoing feuds at the moment, writing, "Happy Gilmore 2 is out tomorrow, Mark Briscoe is a joke, Hangman Adam Page is a phony, Mystico is a big fish in a small pond, Bobby Lashley is out of pocket, everyone's just jealous of me, to be honest." Fans thought MJF might take the opportunity to take shots at the controversial Hogan. The former champ has proven that he's not above that, recently bringing up Mark Briscoe's late brother Jay. But MJF wrote, "Oh, you were expecting a Hulk Hogan tweet? You guys are so unoriginal. You people love nothing but cheap heat."